My friends, at 95 years old, I've learned something about headlines. The louder they are, the more likely it is that people miss the real story sitting quietly underneath. And when it comes to money, retirement, and the years after 50, there is always a louder headline. One minute, it's market on the brink of collapse. The next, it's new crisis could erase your savings. And then a week later, it's this is the greatest opportunity in a generation. People who are over 50 see these headlines every day, and many of them feel pressure, anxiety, even a little fear. I understand that. When you're young, you have time to recover from mistakes, time to rebuild. But when you're older, time becomes your most valuable and your most limited investment. That's why today I want to offer you one honest, practical, experience-shaped investment tip that I believe is more valuable after 50 than any stock pick, market prediction, or newsletter ever written. And it's this: your biggest risk isn't the stock market. Your biggest risk is outliving your money. Most people don't want to think about that. It feels uncomfortable, maybe even a little dark. But uncomfortable truths are still truths, and if you listen to them early enough, they can save you from a lifetime of regret. Over the years, I've watched countless people fear the wrong things. They fear a market crash, but they don't fear inflation eating their savings. They fear investing in stocks, but they don't fear holding too much cash that loses value every single year. They fear temporary volatility, but they're not afraid of permanent poverty. If you're over 50, if you're nearing retirement, or if you're already retired, the decisions you make in the next few years matter more than the decisions you made in the previous 30, because your money doesn't have time to recover from big mistakes. And you have to control 3 dangerous forces that become much more powerful as you age: the fear of losing money, the temptation to hoard cash, and the illusion that safety means doing nothing. Doing nothing can be the most expensive decision of your life. I've seen people hold all their savings in a bank account because they believed the bank was safe. But over 10, 20, or 30 years, inflation quietly stole half their purchasing power. They didn't lose money in the traditional sense, but their money lost them. And that is a very different kind of tragedy. Slow, quiet, invisible, but devastating. So let me give you the central idea that every person over 50 should hear. You must keep a meaningful portion of your money in productive assets. The key word is productive. A productive asset is something that works while you sleep, something that doesn't get tired, something that grows even when the world feels uncertain, something that survives panics, recessions, elections, and economic storms because it follows a law older than any headline, the law of compounding. You don't need to pick hot stocks. You don't need to time the market. You don't need complicated charts, expensive advisors, or magical strategies. You simply need to own pieces of businesses that produce real value. That's what stocks are. Ownership in real companies that make real products, provide real services, and earn real money. Over long periods, productive businesses have always beaten inflation, outperformed gold, outperformed cash, and outperformed fear. But what I've noticed is that many people over 50 stop investing because they think investing is something only young people do. They assume they're too old, that they've missed the boat, that the ship has sailed without them. Let me tell you something honestly. As long as you're alive, your money needs to stay alive too. If you're 50, 60, or even 70, you may live 15, 20, or even 30 more years. And during those years, your money must continue working. Cash doesn't work. Bonds barely work. Fear doesn't work at all. Only productive assets work. I've seen people retire at 60, put everything into safe accounts, and then watch the cost of living rise year after year while their savings stayed still. By the time they were 75, they realized they had made a mistake they couldn't undo. I don't want that to happen to you. That's why the most important investment tip for those over 50 is not about choosing the right stock, the right sector, or the right fund. It's about avoiding the biggest mistake, letting fear push you out of the market completely. The truth is simple. When you stop investing, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start shrinking. People often ask me, Warren, what should I invest in after 50? Should I buy stocks? Should I buy real estate? Should I focus on dividends? And I always say the same thing. Keep it simple. The older you get, the simpler your investment strategy should be. Complexity is the enemy of peace. The goal after 50 is not to beat the market. That's why I recommend something most people overlook. Broad market index funds. They are boring. They are slow. They are predictable. And that's exactly what you want after 50. An index fund is like owning a small piece of thousands of businesses at once. If one business struggles, another rises. If one fails, the rest survive. Over time, the group grows, even if the individuals don't. That is the magic of diversification without the stress of picking winners. A low-cost S&P 500 index fund has beaten most professional money managers over the last 50 years, and it will likely continue to do so over the next 50. I've told my own family to put their money in index funds when I'm gone. If that advice is good enough for them, it's good enough for anyone. But let me be clear. I am not telling you to put all your money in the stock market. I am telling you to keep enough of your money in stocks so that your purchasing power stays ahead of inflation, so that your savings last longer than you do, and so that you don't wake up at 80 and realize you made a mistake at 60. You should have cash for emergencies. You should have safe money for peace of mind. But you should also have growth money, because life continues, expenses continue, and the economy continues. Don't freeze when the world moves. Another common mistake people over 50 make is trying to compensate for lost time by taking bigger risks. They chase high-return investments, speculative schemes, or guaranteed opportunities promising incredible gains. Let me tell you, after 9 decades of watching people learn hard lessons, nothing destroys wealth faster than greed disguised as opportunity. High returns come with high risks, and high risks do not get lower with age. If you want excitement, go to the casino, but don't gamble with your retirement. In the long run, consistency beats brilliance, stability beats speed, and patience beats prediction. The older you get, the more valuable patience becomes. A small, steady gain is worth more than a large temporary win. Your goal is not to double your money overnight, is to make sure you don't lose 50% of it overnight. That's the real danger of speculation, especially after 50. People also ask me what they should fear financially. Here is the list. Fear inflation, fear inactivity, fear emotional decisions, fear overconfidence, fear bad advisors, fear people who promise no-risk investments, fear those who tell you the market is going to crash tomorrow, fear those who say they know exactly what will happen next month, next year, or next decade. Nobody knows. I don't know. You don't know. The market itself doesn't know. But productive assets always win over long periods, and people who stay invested always outperform people who panic. I've seen investors panic in every crash since 1942. Every single time they said, "This time is different," and every single time it wasn't. The market always recovered. Always. It has survived wars, recessions, scandals, political chaos, inflation, deflation, technological revolutions, pandemics, and everything in between. And it will survive whatever comes next. When you're over 50, what you need is not prediction. It's preparation. Preparation means having a plan that protects you when the market falls and rewards you when it rises. It means having enough cash to sleep well, enough stocks to grow well, and enough patience to live well. And let me tell you one more thing. Do not let your children or grandchildren pressure you into handing over your money early, investing in things you don't understand, or taking risks you cannot afford. You are responsible for your own financial safety. Protect it. Guard it. Do not apologize for it. You work too hard to let anyone waste it. If you're over 50, here is the most powerful sentence I can give you. Your financial future depends more on your behavior than on the market's behavior. The market is unpredictable. Your discipline is not. The market is volatile. Your strategy does not have to be. The market will rise and fall. Your plan should not. If you avoid panic, avoid greed, avoid complexity, and avoid inactivity, you will do better than most investors, regardless of age. And if you remember one thing from everything I've said today, remember this. You are never too old to invest, but you are always too old to gamble. Investing is planting trees that may not grow fully in your lifetime, but will protect you when you need shade the most. After 50, your job is not to chase the sun, it is to build the shade. And you build that shade with productive assets, simple strategies, index funds, patience, discipline, and the courage to ignore fear-based headlines. Your future is not determined by the storms of the economy. It is determined by the structure of your plan. Make your plan simple, make it strong, make it calm, and above all, make it able to outlive you, because that is the only way your money will be the